Hey, so for more than 2000 years, the monsoon winds have been an immense conveyor belt through which goods and peoples moved between East Africa and West Asia to South and Southeast Asia. As they waited for seasons to change, these peoples settled down in lands that they had come to trade, gradually establishing roots and ties with local communities. Towards the east, Shaivite Tamil merchants and Brahmins settled through Southeast Asia and even in China, as did Bengali Tantric Buddhist masters, more in these videos here. On the west coast of India, Arab and Persian traders settled down. The earliest immigrants from this region were Zoroastrians and Persians. After the 7th century, they were increasingly Muslim. Islam in India is actually almost as old as Islam itself. During the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad in 629 CE, the Cheraman Juma Mosque, the oldest mosque in all of South Asia, was constructed by merchants in Kodungalur, Kerala. A gold replica of the mosque was presented by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Saudi Arabia in 2016. India's coastal Muslims participated in peaceful trade for centuries, and they help us understand how the globalized people of the medieval Indian Ocean made wealthy, successful economies. I'm Anirudh Kanisati, historian author of Lords of the Deccan. Welcome to Thinking Medieval, where every week we tell you something new about our complex, innovative past. Always feel free to check out our research and citations below and join us in figuring out how to think about our messy, bloody, dazzling history. Through history, Muslim diasporas were crucial to India's global trade because their family and language ties allowed them to relate information and capital from West Asian markets to other Indian buyers and craftspeople. They often organized themselves in large guilds such as the South Indian Anjuvanam Guild of the 9th to 12th century CE, comprised of Indian and West Asian Jews, Muslims, Christians and Parsis. The Anjuvanam was particularly important in connecting India to networks across Afro-Eurasia. Historian Mira Abraham shows in two medieval merchant guilds of South India that they often worked in conjunction with the wealthy and influential Manigramam and Ainurvar merchant corporations, which extended through much of southern India and even had a presence in Southeast Asia. The Anjuvanam traders were part of a much larger dynamic. In the early medieval period along India's west coast, Muslims were being sought after for their expertise in seafaring and commerce. In the 9th and 10th century CE, Indian Ocean historian Elizabeth Lamburn has shown that the mighty Rashtrakuta emperors of the Deccan arranged for Muslim officers to administer personal law to Arab traders and even appointed Muslim governors to the port of Sanjan in present-day Gujarat. One of them, the Persian Muhammad ibn Shahryar, commissioned a Sanskrit epigraph in which he is named Madhumati, a Sanskrit title. He also established a land grant for offerings at a Durga temple and arranged facilities for pilgrims. There's the inscription on screen if you want to look at it. Now, if you think about it, the underlying dynamic of all this is that medieval Indian kings were inviting foreign experts to further state interests. That's very similar to contemporary Southeast Asian kings who were inviting Indian Brahmin scholars for their ritual expertise, who then went on to become assimilated into local communities. More in this video that we did. By the 12th century CE, Muslim merchants could be found along India's east coast as well. Professor Y. Subbarayalu writes in South India under the Cholas that a Sri Lankan Muslim merchant called Asavu or Asaf, bearing the title of Son of the City, was entrusted by the Ainurvar Merchant Corporation with a grant to a mosque in Vishakhapatnam. Another grant to this mosque around 1204 CE was in the name of an Indonesian merchant with the title of Durga's Beloved and Emperor of the Town Assembly, again titles granted to him by the Ainurvar Corporation. And the mosque's name? The Ainutava Perumbali, the big mosque of the 500 Merchant Corporation. So what might this Ainutava Perumbali mosque, patronized by the primarily Shaivite merchants of the Ainurvar, have looked like? Answers can be seen in other medieval South Indian mosques, which took considerable inspiration from contemporary temples and likely hired the same artisans. Consider the Palaya Jummapalli in Kilakarai, Tamil Nadu. Its earliest structures date to the 7th century and feature the simple octagonal stone pillars that were fashionable in temples at the time. They are arranged in a colonnade outside the mosque, similar to the mandapas that can be found in both sacred and secular architecture in South India. As the Palaya Jummapalli was expanded over the centuries, it continued to use architectural elements that we might think of as exclusively Hindu, but slightly modified to Islamic preferences. The main hall that can be seen today is inspired by pillars constructed in Tamil Nadu in the Nayaka period circa 17th century CE. In the Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai, these pillars consist of a stone shaft out of which a mythical Yali beast with a rider leaps out. In the Palaya Jumapalli, these Yalis are replaced by simple columns. Later Muslim sites in other parts of India, such as the Badshahi Ashur Khana of Hyderabad or the Rani Sipri and Rani Roopmati mosques in Ahmedabad, even incorporate ancient Indian symbols of prosperity, such as the overflowing pot or Purna Kalasha. But perhaps the most striking example of the Indianization of Islam along the coast comes from the bilingual Somanatha-Veraval inscription of 1264, studied by historian Alka Patel. The inscription has Arabic and Sanskrit sections commemorating the founding of a mosque by an Arab Muslim with the support of the local king and merchant guilds. The Sanskrit portion describes the mosque as a Dharmasthana and Allah as Vishwanatha, a title often used for the god Shiva, and an influential Hindu merchant was appointed to the mosque's Waqf board. This happened 200 years after the brutal attack of Mahmud of Ghazni on the very same city. It's possible that the people of Somnath understood that conquering Central Asian Muslims were not the same as their Muslim friends and business partners on the coast, and this was not allowed to get in the way of thriving economic activities. Indeed, Gujarati Muslim and Hindu merchants would go on to become among the most influential Indian Ocean traders by the 15th century and after. The Indian subcontinent's deep, humane diversity is what allowed it to become the dominant force of the pre-modern global economy, and the methods and ideas by which our predecessors collectively flourished are well worth remembering today. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear them. Follow us everywhere on social media. You can find me on Instagram at Anirbuddha and at Connected Histories, and on Twitter at akanisetti. We'll see you next week.